If you think you need expensive supplies to make products for a successful art business, I'm about to show you why this doesn't work. I have a counterintuitive process I use that has built multiple 6 to 7 figure businesses selling products that cost me less than $2 in materials to make. And my customers happily pay $30 to over $100 for these products, and they come back again and again. And this isn't a fluke, okay? It is a complete business strategy that focuses on what actually matters to customers versus what most artists obsess over. Today, I want to talk about something that most artists don't want to believe, that the actual materials you use often matter way less than you think. And I'll show you exactly what I use instead that customers actually care about. If you're new to my channel, my name is May, like the month. I started Tiny Hands, my first business, way back in 2006, making scented polymer clay food jewelry that's now been featured on Parks and Recreation, in dozens of magazines, and has sold over 100,000 pieces worldwide. Since then, I have then built multiple 7-figure businesses, including a personalized map art shop with my husband that made over $1 million in its first year. And I have a third jewelry shop that makes multiple sales a week without me doing any marketing because the products simply sell themselves. At the end of this video, I'll also share with you my process for how I research products that are high in demand and that people actually want to buy. When I first started Tiny Hands, I remember being so engrossed in the process of designing each miniature food charm. I was so into it, learning different techniques, how to use liquid clay to make cupcake frosting, and when I got 2 materials to finally work together, I was so excited. As artists, you can probably relate to how fun and fulfilling it is to lose yourself in the creative process of making something with your 2 hands, right? I became so proud of myself and my work. I was paying such special care and attention to every little detail of my miniatures. I had spent so much time designing each piece because every new design took me 2 to 4 weeks to develop, between testing different color combinations, experimenting with textures and scents, and part of this included an obsession with different supplies and materials. I was constantly shopping for the best materials, the best paper, the best ink, the best boxes and necklace chains. I got custom printed boxes with my brand and logo on it that was so expensive and a huge pain to put together because you had to hot glue the sides to assemble them yourself. Even though I was a broke student at the time, I believed that the best quality materials made the best quality product. And I would spend all my money on these supplies and have no money left over to actually get traffic to my shop, which is what you need for sales. As I was building out my shop in the first few years, the tagline I came up with to describe my shop was expertly crafted and customizable scented food jewelry. Now, I struggled to make sales for years under this tagline because this perception of my shop being focused in my artistry trickled over to other parts of my marketing, right? I was not able to make a full-time income, and it is so cringy now that I think about it. But it's also really telling to how little I knew at the time. That tagline is completely egotistical. It is focused on me as the artist and my expertise, and it's process focused. At no point did I consider my customer. And that's who's paying money for my work. I am not the customer. My customer is the customer, right? So now my tagline is simple: super cute scented food jewelry. The words super cute are words that my customers use over and over again when they see and experience my jewelry. And the change in direction of my tagline also signified when my business started taking off. Here's the takeaway from that. Customers don't buy your products because of the materials you use. They buy the finished product because of how it looks, what it represents, and how it makes them feel. They're purchasing the experience and the outcome, not your process or materials list. So for me, instead of custom printed boxes, I now use custom printed hang tags, which are a lot cheaper, that we then insert into standard gift boxes. Instead of sterling silver necklace chains, which could easily cost $20 per piece, I use silver plated chains, and they use this special vacuum plating technology that makes the plating thicker so it's tarnish resistant for years. And that costs under $1 each. And instead of focusing so much on my process in my marketing, I focus on more of the end product and how it impacts my customers. This shift in thinking completely changed my approach to product design. Instead of asking, what are the best supplies I can use, or what's the fanciest, coolest process I can apply here, I started asking, what finished product would my customer be happy to get? This customer first mindset is what creates products that actually sell consistently. But of course, that was just one of the many things I did to take my business from just making a sale here and there to getting it to 6 figures consistently every year. And if that's something you want for your shop too, I have a free workshop I teach that talks about the system I use that other artists have gone through and had really great results with. They've quit their jobs, retired their spouses, multiplied their income, even sold their business with the system. So if you're interested in that, the link to sign up for free is in the description below. Now, the second mistake artists make is assuming customers value the same things they do. As creators, we obsess over material quality, technical execution, and craftsmanship details. But here's the reality. Your customers likely don't even notice 90% of what you're agonizing over, and they certainly aren't willing to pay more for it because it's not important to them. They don't care how long it took you, and the process usually isn't a priority for them either, unless they are artists themselves. But most customers are laymen who have no idea what goes on behind the scenes and are also not knowledgeable enough about all the materials you used. I learned this when I was making a batch of chocolate chip cookie charms one night. This was when I was still making all the charms myself, and now I don't do so much of that anymore. I have a team of production assistants that help me make them, but I was on a deadline to fulfill some orders, and I remember being so exhausted and I had so many more to make. I was spending so much time putting chocolate chips into each cookie charm, and you can't just shove them into the clay. You have to make sure they're lodged in securely and not fall off, which would mean accidentally smearing the brown coloring that I gave each cookie. It was just a whole thing. It's a whole process that took way more time than it needed. Now, for most of my charms, there is a front and back side to them. And at the time, I was putting chips in the back side of the cookie as well. So I had a theory. On that time crunch, I thought I'm going to experiment and not put any chips on the back. It will save me so much time, and it's the back of the necklace anyway, and I'll just send these off to customers and see what they say about it. And heck yeah, I was nervous because I thought I was being lazy and worried that my customers would be upset, but I also wanted to sleep that night. So the kicker was, none of my customers complained. In fact, they sent me very happy reviews about how cute the cookie charms were. This taught me a really important lesson that I'm sharing with you now. Invest your resources where customers actually perceive value, not where you, the artist, think you should. So for my polymer clay jewelry business, I now allocate my resources completely differently. Rather than making the most detailed product with all these bells and whistles and the entire kitchen sink that customers aren't even paying attention to, I spend more time on developing simple but effective designs. I could be one of those polymer clay sculptors that creates hyper-realistic food charms, but that's not commercially viable for me because it's just too time-consuming. So, for example, my waffle necklace has tiny butter pats, glossy maple syrup, and it's got all the right colors. It is not the most detailed waffle, nor does it look like an exact replica of a waffle, but it is an effective representation of what waffles look like. The priority is it still has to look cute as a piece of jewelry, right? For me. I also completely transformed my marketing to focus on the emotional benefits rather than just material quality. Instead of saying premium quality materials or handmade with love and care, or this piece took me hours to make, which no one really cares about any of that because they're not my mom and they don't know me or owe me anything. I now talk about wearable nostalgia, how my jewelry are great conversation starters, how they make great gifts and always bring a smile to a little girl's face. Each of my necklaces only cost around $2 to make, including materials and labor. But of course, that's not counting marketing costs or business overhead. And customers pay $30 to $50 for my products because I've invested in what they actually value. Now, this isn't about cutting corners, okay? Because product quality and durability is still a priority for me. But it's about being smart with your resources, like your time, money, and energy, to create the experience customers truly want. It's not about you, it's about them. The third principle, and this is where serious money is made, is using market research to guide your product development instead of your artistic intuition alone. Most artists completely skip this step because they think their creativity alone is enough. And if you build it, they will come, right? Not really. Not anymore these days. Understanding what already sells and then finding opportunities to stand out is what separates shops that make inconsistent sales from shops that bring in a full-time income. This principle was the foundation of the most successful businesses I have built. In 2019, my husband and I launched a personalized map art business. But before creating a single product, we spent 2 weeks researching what's out there. We found something really interesting. Every single map art seller used virtually identical dark blue backgrounds or simple black and white designs. They all kind of look the same. No one was differentiating in a meaningful way, I thought. And so based on this research, we designed our art using more colorful colors. I've just always loved color. Bright colors make me happy. And here's the key. We use standard print-on-demand services that cost just a few dollars per print rather than expensive custom printing and framing. The unique design was what would make us stand out, not premium paper. Making an heirloom piece of art was not our goal for this product. We wanted to create something that was accessible and personalized so most people could enjoy it. That business generated over $1 million in its first year. And going back to the lessons I shared before, we don't spend a ton of our money printing our art on specialty paper or like museum quality wood frames. We're spending a modest $20-ish for framed prints using good enough supplies that most of our customers are happy with because we created the product in a way that was meaningfully different from what customers could find elsewhere. Here is my exact market research process that helped me create multiple winning products across different businesses. And the good news is you don't need any of those fancy research software, just use Google, it is free. So the first step is find at least 8 to 10 other successful shops selling products similar to what you want to make. Don't just look at the top 2 to 3 results. I really want you to dig deeper to see the full range of what's out there and what's already doing well. The second thing you're going to do is analyze their pricing. What is the range people are willing to pay? Look for the ceiling price because this tells you the potential for how much people are willing to pay and the perceived value of this type of product. And then you're going to read customer reviews carefully. What do customers consistently say? What do they wish was different or better? And then you're going to identify what all the existing shops have in common. This is your opportunity to be different, to add in your unique sauce and your creativity to the mix. That is how you will stand out and bring in a new version of a product that already exists in the market, so you know it's going to sell. So if everyone uses the same materials or colors or presentation style with their website or photography, that's your opening for how you might be different to stand out. If you want a step-by-step process and examples and walkthroughs, and you want to go deeper into my process for finding profitable product ideas and building a business that makes sales every single day, I teach how to do all of that inside my program, A Sale a Day Business System. I have a free workshop that talks more about that, and there is a link in the description below, so go sign up for that if you're interested. Now let me show you some examples for how this process applies to my businesses. For my food jewelry, I found that competitors were focused solely on creating hyper-realistic designs, which is great in itself. But as I mentioned before, I focused instead of simpler yet cuter representations of the food I was making. I also added scents to my charms, which makes it a little bit more unique, and my customers find that really fun. For my mat art shop, competitors all use the same colors, like I mentioned, so my opportunity there was adding brighter colors to them. For my coaching business, Creative Hive, a lot of other coaches focus on selling on Etsy or using primarily social media to do marketing to get traffic and sales. Whereas I focus on what I think to be a better, faster, more effective, and longer lasting result is with using media outreach marketing and getting your products featured in front of other people's audiences rather than building your following one person at a time. The key is focusing on being different in ways that matter to customers, not just being different for the sake of being different. For my food jewelry, I added scents where competitors were only focused on appearance. For my map art, I designed them in a way that appealed to people who also love color because the existing options at the time were very limiting. You don't need expensive market research tools. I do all my research using Google. I spend time reading customer reviews of competitors' products to understand what people love and what they wish was different. I pay attention to the patterns. This gives me so much data into what customers actually value versus what they complain about, and where there are opportunities for me with my own products. And this costs nothing but some time. If you're interested to see an entire process of how I find a product idea in my jewelry shop and turn it into a product design and actually make my first few sales from it, go check out this video where you can watch me make and sell a product in less than a week.